Thank you very much. Allow me to thank the Holy Father of the Pontifical Academy of Science and of Social Sciences for organizing this very fantastic and extremely important summit. At the heart of this summit, there is a commitment that Rome has embraced with conviction, the need to effect, as Pope Francis told us today, a transition from climate crisis to climate resilience, inequality, and social justice. A transition which strongly believe requires a comprehensive approach in which mitigation and adaptation are deeply connected with societal transformation. Environmental and social sustainability and justice are two sides of the same coin. And in this respect, the local administration have a key role to play, not only because many of the actions needed for addressing climate change have to be adopted and implemented at city level, but also because local administrations are the level of government closest to the citizens and can do a lot in promoting the sense of community, the values of solidarity and fraternity, which are fundamental because ecological conversion is also a community conversion. And in this respect, governance plays a key role, not only as a dimension of internal organization of how to better take and implement the right decision, but also as a way to better involve and make protagonists the citizens and implement this community spirited and way of action all together. Rome is deeply affected by climate change, which is a reality of the present and not a risk of the future. We have experienced the greatest temperature increase among all Italian big cities in recent decades. The average temperature for the period 2011-21 is plus 1.7 degrees. Then for the period 81-2010, 9% of our population lives in neighborhoods at risk during periods of prolonged heat waves. 400,000 people live in areas at hydrogeological risk. So we need bold, decisive, and immediate action, and for the reason we have improved our governance first as a first point by promoting a transversal intervention model. We have created, was one of my first act as elected mayor, a climate office to act as a link between all the parts of city administration, integrating them into a coherent framework of priorities with practical targets and concrete actions to achieve them. All the action we are taking, to make an example, in the run-up of the investment for preparation of the Catholic Jubilee, or implementing a next generation EU plan, or expanding our national and regional local resources, are in line with the direction of a city that is more resilient to climate challenge and promote sustainable inclusive development. Second, and very important dimension of this governance change is also to try to engage all stakeholders. We are currently working to sign a climate city contract to be signed and shared by all the stakeholders of the city, not only those related with our administration, but those who are in town, let's say, at all levels, public, private, national, local, whoever is in town. We are asking them to sign this climate city contract. And we are expanding this horizontal dimension. I will come back to that also in promoting local action by communities and in the more than 300 neighborhoods of Rome. Of course, it's also important, as far as we talk about governance, also the vertical dimension of governance. We cannot do everything only horizontally. We need coherence, we need resources, we need tools to solve a number of problems. To make an example, we are working on the hydrogeological risk. Something we can do at our level on our rivers, but if they don't do upstream on the sources of the river, then other actors, what we do is pointless. So if we don't find a way to integrate this horizontal and vertical dimension around specific targets, then we cannot achieve our goals. So we work on three pillars as mass strategy. The first is mitigation. We have adopted a climate plan, raising the 2030 target for cutting CO2 emissions to minus 66%, Previous plan was minus 51%, and we consider this achievable also because there has been a decline in emission in the last years. So it can be done. We have to believe that can be done, and we would like not only to reduce emission, but also to make Rome a laboratory for innovations and that are possible in renewable energy production, distribution, sustainable mobility, circular economy, also creating learning from others and putting in place best practice that could be also exported in other parts of the world. And I think this horizontal dialogue among citizens, territories, administration is really crucial. The ongoing and finance investment for climate and urban renewal are unprecedented amount to more than 10 billion euros through the Italian Recovery Plan, the Catholic Jubilee Plan, national, European and regional funds, and our administrative budget. The second pillar is our climate adaptation strategy that we presented in January and we intend to finalize by this summer. It has four main priorities. First, increasing intensity and frequency of heavy rainfall and flooding. Second, security of water supply in a scenario of prolonged droughts. Third, heat waves and rising temperatures. And four, coastal erosion in a scenario of rising sea levels. And we are affected by all these four dimensions, obviously. And let me now briefly outline some concrete examples of the actions that we are taking on this area. First, on mitigation, of course, we identified the sources of emission in Rome are buildings 53%, cars, transport 35%. So, of course, these are the two main targets. And in these two sectors, we are concentrating our greatest effort with the major transformative interventions, but always trying to linking together energy efficiency, renewal, and retrofit of building, but also a broader concept of social and urban regeneration, because very often we intervene in very degraded, complex suburbs. And so these interventions are all designed by linking challenges of climate mitigation adaptation with also energy innovation and social, most important, social innovation. With the same approach, we are intervening in the transport system, which is one of Rome's greatest vulnerabilities. Interventions such as those to complete the sea metro line, whose construction site you can see these days, starting with this wonderful museum station in Piazza Venezia, but also with 4 new tram lines, with the purchase of 411 electric buses, 121 trams, 40 metro trains, and as our Santiago friends also said, we are working on a mass concept of integrating interoperability of different tools, also with the support of digital innovation. We are also experimenting production of green hydrogen as a complementary fuel for part of our bus fleet. And taking inspiration from London, from Sadiq leadership, we are also implementing a low-emission zone, which is challenging, but we want to implement with, of course, some specific safeguard for more vulnerable citizens. We are on building, we are renovating 212 schools in order but schools will also be not just a place where to put photovoltaic panels, but the laboratory for a project that is strategic for us because it brings together environmental and social objectives, such as energy communities. We want to install solar panels so the energy produced can be shared with families living in energy poverty, and we want to pursue the objectives of reclaiming public spaces with local association. So in the first energy, to make an example, community we inaugurated in January this year, solar panels were installed on the roof of a building housing in the Institute of Acari, which cares for children and young people in difficulty. In coming weeks, we will adopt a regulation to involve structurally association and third sector organization in the implementation of these projects. So we are making the roofs of Rome, or all Rome's public buildings, available for projects that not only reduce emissions, but also want to strengthen the social resilience of neighborhoods and the sense of community. To fully develop energy communities in private buildings, we are working with AIB in order to find financial solutions for addressing the current market failure, which prevents bank credit to finance properly group of households who create an energy community. This is a very important topic in my view. With our waste management plan, we will reduce the emissions of our waste cycle by more than 90%, and the vehicles of our waste company will be propelled with the biomethane produced with organic waste biodigestion. Water management, and we do a lot of urban forestation. We have a plan of planting 1 million trees by 2026. This is both for mitigation and adaptation. We are working with the European community to more targeted ways of urban forestation in the area more vulnerable to heat waves. Water management is another priority. We set some clear priorities and change of approach, in particular to ensure the wise use of water resources. So we are now investing to double the capacity of the city main aqueduct, the Peschiera, with a 1.2 billion investment, but also on reducing the water leakage, and in particular implementing a plan to reuse the water, which is extremely important to use for watering parks, for industrial purposes, for agriculture, for washing the street. And many of you will have seen the Trevi fountain, where the water comes from the Acqua Virgo, or the Gianiculum fountain, where it comes from the Acqua Paula. And we want to connect the big water treatment plants in Rome to this network of aqueducts that are some very ancient, that crisscross the city, some of which are very close by, to increase the flow and use it to irrigate Rome's park, to give people the opportunity, even in the summer months, to find shelter from the intense heat. A change of approach that we also wanted to make in the project for renovation of the main square of the next year Catholic Jubilee. We are renovating a lot of square, and of course we are trying to always make the soil more permeable, to make more trees, less space for cars. And now I just introduced another innovation in our governance system. I create an office for urban quality connected with the office of climate office, that his main purpose was to create problems to my other office. So they will enter in any procedure, any work, any street maintenance, anything, any office say they need, that this guy say, okay, it's fine. And he has to check the material. Are you using the proper material that is permeable? Are you putting as many trees as possible? And you reduce his car space as much as possible, at least as much as we can. So it will be a bit of complication, but then now everything has to pass through this office, and they have to, let's say, okay, you do the maximum possible in terms of urban quality, which has inside this, of course, climate dimension very, very strongly. Of course, as I said, the mitigation adaptation as mass strategy is not sufficient. We really need to reshape our cities, and so transformation is fundamental, and this is how we come to the concept of 15 minute cities, which is not just a way of reducing the need of commuting across the city by bringing services closer to where the citizens live. Is also this is extremely important in this respect, but it also aims at promoting proximity as a fundamental principle. The closeness and accessibility of services has to be linked also to a concept of quality identity of public spaces, essential to make people feel less lonely, to help them strengthen their social ties, to feel that they are part of a community. So we are developing a number of interventions, developing close dialogue with the citizens, creating new squares and restoring degraded area, make pedestrian, all these things to try to involve them and make citizen protagonists, to make them feel the ownership as much as possible of this, and here really where the dimension of fraternity, of community is essential tool for promoting this, this third leg, third pillar of MAST, which does not only involve how we shape physically the city, but how we shape spiritually and make the community dimension a profound and extremely powerful tool of changing, of change, of transformation. And in this respect, children are fundamental. We will have in Rome next year the World Gathering of Children with the Holy Father, and the concept is that we don't have much, we have also to teach things to children. We have to learn from children, because probably children know better than us what needs to be done in this respect. So I think then another governance challenge is how we can better learn from our children respect to how our cities must become. So we thank you for this gathering and this fantastic conference. We fully share what Pope Francis wrote in Laudato Si, caring for the world that surrounds and sustains us, meaning caring for ourselves, but we must constitute ourselves into a we that inhabits the common home. So we must go beyond an utilitarian approach if you really want to tackle climate change. We need a message of hope that speaks of how we can protect both the individual and the planet, and in which the climate challenge is linked to the challenges of peace, fraternity, the protection of biodiversity, and equitable global growth. Rome, with its rich history of transformation and regeneration, wants to be part of this vital mission. Thank you for your attention.